you to this session, to this free live session that's hosted for you exclusively by Talentsprint. Couple of you, in fact lots of you have already logged in. As you know that every Wednesday there is a public live session which is hosted exclusively by Talentsprint. We do have some of our existing students who also log in, but in addition to them, their friends and others who would want to see what kind of sessions, what kind of course, what kind of topics are included in the Talentsprint online course. You are most welcome to look forward to these free live sessions that are hosted every week, every Wednesday from 6 to 7. Right? Good evening, everybody, and I hope all of you are doing well and taking advantage of the refresher sessions. Like our students definitely are taking advantage of the refresher sessions. That is the SBI PO refresher sessions. We've had a couple of sessions that have happened in the previous weeks, right? So as you're aware, the topic for today is spotting errors made easy, or we're going to discuss a few examples, a few rules that would probably help you in spotting the errors easily. You know that finding errors or spot the errors, phrase substitution, etc. There are different names, but essentially the question type is one where you are tested on your understanding of grammar, right? So you know that there are about 21 components that we can divide the finding errors question type, the types of errors, into 21 different types. So obviously in a 1 hour live session, it is practically impossible to cover all the 21 types. However, what I've done for you is I've picked up a couple of examples which are pertaining to a particular type of error. So we're going to discuss the concept and also attack one of the examples to see the application of the concept, so that you can take advantage of this session and at least would be able to learn the approach to identifying errors or spotting errors, right? So Ayush, Arjun, also a couple of others who I saw, a very good evening once again. Let's quickly get started. So for all of you who are new and who've logged into this system, or enrolled for this particular live session, the free live session today, just to let you know, spotting errors or finding errors, there are about 21 components which have been covered in the learning portal. Okay, so when I say different types of errors, what I mean is, let's say there is a type, a conjunction type of error. Let's say there is an adverbial error, or an error pertaining to question tags, or for that matter idioms and phrases. So there's so many categories that you can actually segregate these errors into. Okay, so the best way to learn how to approach finding errors, because finding errors is not just a question type, it is essentially the only way that the entire ocean of grammar can be tested upon. Okay, so the best way to prepare for finding errors is to segregate the topics, segregate the types, like on basis of word class or on the basis of prepositions, and develop a concept and also take a few examples which can help you build on that concept, so that in the exam when you are asked to identify a particular type of error, you are easily able to relate it to whether it is a prepositional error, or is it a conjunction based error, or for that matter a subject verb agreement type of error, right? So let's get started without discussing further, and you can take advantage of this particular session, which again is a free live session for the benefit of all of you. All right. Okay, as you can see on the screen, we have essentially 21 types of errors. Okay, 20 the concepts that are covered in grammar, and of course the 21st, which is a miscellaneous type of error. Okay, so we have errors pertaining to word class, or for that matter parts of speech, right? Parts of speech, when we say, it could be a noun, it could be a pronoun, it could be again an adjective, so any part of the speech. So based on the usage, you will have to identify what part of the speech is used here. Okay. Second, of course, conjunctions, prepositions, you can clearly see on the screen, right? Personal, reflexive pronouns, relative pronouns. So the concepts of these have definitely been discussed in detail at length in the course. But let's move on and discuss a few error types and see how you can apply this learning there. Okay? Okay. If you see this particular example, Anu has a fascinating for all electrical things. Okay, very easy to identify. Very easy to identify. Anu, that is the doer of the action, the subject. Okay, has a fascinating for all electrical things. Has. Now here the key word is a. Okay, when you see an indefinite article a or a, you know for sure, as discussed in the rules, okay, it should always, an indefinite article should always follow a noun or a noun phrase. Okay, in this case you see has a fascinating. Okay, fascinating is obviously not a noun, and what is the noun form of it? It is fascination. So although this example, you know, like this, you may find many types of questions. Okay, a usually follows nouns. Perfectly right, Rajkumar, as you mentioned, a follows a noun. So you know that whenever a question of this type appears in the exam, you know, and if you're able to correctly identify that there's an article, indefinite article a, the following word should always be a noun. So in this case, fascinating, you will change to fascination. All right, let's move on. Okay, if you notice, this is one more example that I've included. If you notice, there are two examples, but when I say one more, it is of one type, relative pronouns. As discussed in the first slide, you noticed, what we're talking about here is the different segments or components that you can divide the errors into. Okay, so right now the first one that we discussed was part of speech. We identified when there's an indefinite article, the following subsequent word should be a I would say a noun. All right, so based on that we changed the word fascinating to fascination. Okay, now likewise, let's look at now relative pronouns. Okay, now for your benefit, because this is a free live session, for your benefit I have segregated it into this in this way, but obviously in the exam you will not find it in this way. But if you have the knowledge of relative pronouns and you understand the usage of relative pronouns, then obviously you will be easily able to identify what type of error is it, where is the error, and based on that in the exam luckily you are not required to correct it, but yes, you will be able to correctly identify it for sure. Okay, so in example 1, he is the same boy. Now what are relative pronouns? Okay, what are relative pronouns? Okay, you guys can also share your responses on the screen. Yes, I can see you people doing so. But what are relative pronouns? Okay, relative pronouns, first and foremost, you have to correctly identify which is the relative clause here. Okay, he is the same boy. You know that that's the subject, let's say. Now, the relative clauses which came to us yesterday. So this part is called the relative clause. Okay, relative clause. So relative pronouns are those pronouns which are a part of the relative clause, okay, which are indicative or which give a direct relation or show the relation with the subject. Okay, so there are different kinds of relative pronouns like which, who, that, whom, although whom is not so frequently used, whichever. In some places we also use when and where also as relative pronouns, but that's not too common. Okay, so in this case we are talking about a boy. Okay, so when you say which, that is definitely not the right relative pronoun to talk about a boy. Okay, so we can correctly identify that the part which has an error is part C. Okay, part C has an error, but what is the correction that you need to make? You have to replace which with, okay, I'm waiting for your response. Which with who? Okay, but at this point I'd also like to tell you that although it may not sound correct to the ears, but it is also correct if we say he is the same boy that came to us yesterday. Okay, so who as well as that would be correct in this case. Okay, we generally think that we use that only when we are talking about inanimate objects, okay, or objects. When you say objects, obviously it is it does not have a gender, so in those cases we use that, but that's not true. Who as well as that can be used interchangeably. Okay, so that concept you can remember. All right, suppose in place of which it had been that, then it wouldn't have been incorrect. Let's look at the second example. Okay, I've just taken a few examples. As I mentioned right in the beginning, it is practically impossible to touch upon everything, but I'm just helping you understand how to approach finding errors so that you can I would say understand and apply it better and score better in this particular question type. All right, cool. Let's look at the second example. The pants that I bought yesterday are already stained. So in example 2, what are we talking about? Which is the subject? The pants, right? Now, which is the relative clause here? That, the rest of the part, right? That I bought yesterday are already stained. Now, do not get confused about already stained, etc. You should just see where is the relative pronoun. Okay, now I'm glad like Vikram has just posted, it is a subject verb agreement error. Okay, Vikram, I'd just like to address that when you said the pants that I bought yesterday are already stained. Okay, now pants always exists in the plural, so are already stained is correct. It is not a subject verb agreement related error. However, the kind of error that we are looking at, although I've labeled it relative pronouns, you should have looked on those lines, but just in case, even if I did not mention relative pronouns, when you say the pants that I bought yesterday are already stained is correct. So it is not a subject verb agreement error. It is a relative pronoun that we are looking at. Now here, do you think that is the right relative pronoun? Okay, you can say that the pair of pants. If I say the pair of pants, okay, the pair of pants, okay, the pair of pants that I bought, or the pair of trousers, if I had said like this, then it would have been a subject verb agreement error. But here we're just saying the pants. Okay, it clearly shows that you're not talking of one pair. Okay, usually we say a pair of trousers, a pair of jeans, a pair of shoes. Then it is fine. I understand it is a singular reference. However, let me just complete before I address Arjun's question, Arjun Raghu, okay, where he says are should be replaced by was. I'll come to that, Arjun, but let me just complete this because I think the confusion why you said that it is a subject verb agreement. Okay, let me just discuss this with you. Okay, before you said, because you said that it is a subject verb agreement error, let me also discuss what the concept is. Okay, now when you say subject verb agreement, okay, you know for sure that singular subject takes a singular verb. It is very simple. Okay, and vice versa. A plural subject takes a plural verb. However, in this case, okay, what I'm talking about is the pants. Okay, I like the fact that, you know, you could at least look on those lines so that this particular concept could be touched upon. If I say the pants, okay, it refers to a multiple number, more than one, okay, which is a plural number of the subject. However, which is the reason R is correct, okay, the fact that whatever we have in the example, the pants that I bought yesterday are stained. So in that case, R is correct because here this represents a plural number, all right. However, on the contrary, if I say that the pair of pants that I bought yesterday, then I have to change it to is stained already. Is the difference clear to all of you? Right? So here in this case, although I had put that example under relative pronouns, but I'm glad you brought that up, okay, so that we could discuss this concept as well. So in this case now, it is not a subject verb agreement error because we already have R. This is correct, right? The focus point here is whether the right relative pronoun has been used. If I said the pants that I bought, the pants who I bought yesterday, that would have been incorrect, isn't it? So that is the reason we're saying the pants that I bought yesterday are stained already. Got it? Right. So that is the point that I wanted to make. So let's get on with what I have for you. I hope it's clear. Okay, Ashwini, let me explain it to you, all right? See, the second example is the pants that I bought yesterday are already stained. Isn't that the second example, right? So when you say the pants that I bought yesterday, here the pants refers to a plural subject, okay, because it's not saying the pair of pants, etc. Okay, when you say jeans, scissors, trousers, then you say a pair of trousers. You do not just say my trousers. Okay, the pair of trousers. So likewise here you can say that the pants, when you say the pants, could be you could have bought two sets of pants, right, which is a plural number. However, if we had particularly mentioned the pair of pants, then you would have changed the corresponding verb to singular. In this case, the verb is plural, which is also correct because it doesn't clearly say anywhere that the subject is plural or singular. Okay, I can say, if I'm talking to you, I can say, okay, my pants are dirty. Okay, my pants are dirty. I can say that, but I still have to say my pants are dirty. Okay, but if I say my pair of trousers, then I would say is dirty. Okay, so that's the point that I was trying to make, because one of you pointed out that it is a subject verb agreement error, but I appreciate the fact that you were also trying to look at it from that aspect, which is the reason I could bring up this discussion for your clarity. All right, let's move on. All right, we're back to the screen now. So now this is clear to all of you that here in this particular example, it is not incorrect. There is nothing incorrect in this particular sentence. That is also correct here. Okay, it is correct. So this particular example has no error. There's no error. Okay, now couple of you said was because we are talking about that I bought yesterday. Now obviously which I got yesterday, I'm talking about it today. Okay, in this particular example, the reason why we're using present is at a particular time when the pants are already stained, but you are probably saying it, talking about it the next day, which is also correct. Okay, so suppose, let's say one of you, let's say Ranjit, okay, Ranjit or Rajkumar, you bought a pair of trousers yesterday and today, for some reason they got stained. So you're saying the pants that I bought yesterday are stained, and because you're saying it today. All right, Okay, cool. Let's move on. Now this is, of course, this is another type, which is the 8th type. So in the first example, we took the word class or the part of speech kind of error where we identified which was one of the types. In the second one, which was the 5th type that we took. Now 5th type, in how we have mentioned it in our list when we have discussed the concept of finding errors in our learning online learning course. Okay, so now subject verb agreement has been put as the 8th type of error. Now okay, it's pretty simple. I think as we discussed the last question, we saw, although the concept of subject verb agreement is pretty clear, but then more often than not people make mistakes. Okay, now let's look at this question. The decoration of the new office block, including the furniture and curtains, are most pleasing. Now tell me, okay, I think Vikram Reddy says is most pleasing. Okay, is should replace are, is what most of you are saying. Okay, are is not right, is most pleasing. Now I want to know why. I want to know why, because you know for sure that a singular subject takes a singular verb, correct? And a plural subject takes a plural verb, isn't it? Right, but I think it should be are is correct, isn't it? The decoration of the new office block, including furniture. There's so many things. We're talking about furniture, curtains. Why do you think are should be replaced with is? I want the reason. Okay. Here decoration is noun and it is plural, hence. Okay. So in that case, what you're trying to say is are is correct, isn't it? No. So all of you who are saying are is correct, it isn't, I'm afraid, but it isn't. But now let's try to see why. Absolutely, I think Nirmal Indian. I like the name, very interesting. Okay, very interesting. So think of it, what are you talking about here? We're talking about the decoration of the new office block. Okay, sometimes a lot of students in the exam interface may get confused. Okay, with their subject is decoration. Okay, decoration of something, of the new office block. That is another noun phrase. Okay, decoration is the main thing that we're talking about. Then in that case, including furniture, curtains, it should become plural, isn't it? Subject is decoration, but what should we do of including the furniture? Absolutely right. I think Vikram had rightly mentioned that because of the word. I think Vikram had only mentioned because of the word including. When you say including, everything is put together as one. Okay. We are also talking about furniture and curtains. Okay, but the fact that including is there, including is the key word. Okay, key word is including. When you say including, including means it is taking the furniture. Okay, furniture, everything is inclusive of it. All this is additional information of the new office block, including the furniture and curtains. But what are we talking about? We are talking of the decoration. Okay, decoration which includes all of this. Now when you say includes means it is a part of it. Okay, part of the decoration. So here if this is decoration, so furniture and curtains are also included in it. It still remains a singular subject, right? You guys are Rohit students, so I always like to explain the concepts of English also in the way that you approach questions of arrangement and sets, etc. Okay, I think figures and all really attract you. So that is the reason when I say decoration, the entire A superset is decoration. Furniture and curtains are also included in it, which means it is still singular. Alright, it is still singular, and because it is still singular, the subject remains singular, hence the first rule where singular subject takes the singular verb. However, in part D, we say are most pleasing. Okay, most is obviously an intensifier, but are here is the verb. Okay, are is the verb, which is plural, and it does not match the rule, which is why are should be replaced by is the correct explanation. Okay, yeah, I think what you said is right, but we're not taking up any example right now related to superlative degree, but what you're saying is absolutely right, because when you say superlative, it is again one that you're talking of, hence we use singular. Absolutely right. Now Swati, decoration is singular, so it takes singular verb, and also the key word is including. All right. Okay, now conjunction. What are conjunctions? They're linking words, right? Now conjunctions are linking words, right? So there are different types of conjunctions, one of which is also coordinating conjunctions. So nobody would forget. I think an age-old practice to remember coordinating conjunctions is, what is the acronym that you use? We use fanboys, right? Fanboys is the acronym that we use, or you say mnemonic, okay, that we use to remember all the coordinating conjunctions, right? So knowledge of conjunctions would also help you spot errors pertaining to conjunctions. Let's look at one example. Okay, I think Shubhendu is very creative, as he always is, right? He bridge is equal to conjunction, joining words, linking words. Okay, linking a dependent clause to an independent clause, or two independent clauses, or a phrase to an independent clause, etc. Okay, so there are different ways, there are different types of conjunctions. So let's look at this example and see how to spot a conjunction related error. Okay, linking words. Vikram, if I may correct you, they're the linking words. Okay, merging words, linking words. Okay, I think you guys are really strong in synonyms because linking, merging, connecting, they're all kind of mean the same. So I'm glad that you guys are working on your vocabulary front too, in addition to the other aspects. Okay, cool. So let's move on and see what the question is, and also understand how to approach the question. All right. All right, there you go. It is conjunction. He was wearing a coat for it was hot. Okay. Now, I've not given it in a form that you have to identify the part which is an error. But I want you to tell me, I've given you two options. Okay. The first says he was wearing a coat for it was hot. Is this correct? Or the second sentence? You have to identify which of the two is correct. He was wearing a coat although it was hot. Right? Okay. Second part is correct. Says Shubhendu. All right. Anyone else? Second option, Sneha. Everybody says Molly, Vishal, everyone says second. Okay. Now I want you to tell me why. I want you to tell me why. Okay, because it is although. Okay, because of the conjunction although. Now, if you notice, again, you know, as they say, when you say he was wearing a coat for it was hot, okay, for it was hot, again, can you understand if we split, again, conjunction joins two sentences, right? Let's say if we split this sentence into two parts, one which says he was wearing a coat, he was wearing a coat, and the second which says it was hot. Now tell me something. Let's say we do not know anything about conjunctions. Tell me something. Is this practically possible? It is not. Okay, he was wearing a coat because it was hot. Okay, I'm not sure where it happens, but practically, considering the humans are being talked about, no. Okay, and the fact that we are talking about he here, we can assume that there's a person who we're talking about. Okay, so for gives you a reason. So one will definitely not wear a coat. Okay, because it was hot he was wearing a coat? No, it doesn't logically fit. Okay, doesn't apply. Now he was wearing a coat although it was hot. Now let's say although. What is the meaning although is conveying here? Although is conveying the meaning of despite or in spite of. Let's say in spite of. Now most of you keep asking, ma'am, what is the difference between in spite of or despite, right? So we do not say despite of. Okay, we say in spite of is equal to despite, or if I want to just explain it to you, we can say that even though. Okay, even though it was hot, he was still wearing a coat. Now this is showing a contrast. Okay, so that is the reason, because it was hot. You generally not expected to wear a coat, however he was still wearing it. That's the point that you're trying to make here. So you should be very, very careful what is being talked about, and based on that be able to identify or spot the error which falls under that particular component of error. All right, Vishal, absolutely right. Okay, let's look at the second example. Now, until he works hard all year long, he won't be able to buy his father an expensive gift. First and foremost, let us first understand, do we have two independent clauses here, or we have two dependent clauses, or one independent, one dependent? What is it? Okay, Rajkumar, very good. Okay, he's rightly spotted. I think many others along with him. He says until is not correct here. It should be unless. But I want, which is correct. Okay, that's the explanation. So part A has an error. But at the same time, I would also want you to, tell me that when do we use until and when do we use unless? Okay, that is the main learning. Okay, because sometimes we can easily spot the error, but to ensure that we're consistent in identifying the error correctly, we must know the reasoning behind it. So what is the difference between until and unless? What's the difference? Until is for a period of time. Okay, until is still a point of time. Okay, till a point of time. Okay, practice until you succeed, till that point of time. We are talking of a point of time. Okay, I'm picking up the wrong pen each time. Okay, until and unless. So what's the difference? Until is when we talk of a point of time, and unless is when we're talking of a condition. Unless for some reason we're talking of a condition. Okay, so until, please remember, point of time, and unless is condition. Now based on this reasoning, we can apply to the example that we just saw. Okay, until he works hard. Okay, now until he works hard. So we are not talking of point of time, we are trying to relate it to a reason. What is the condition? Unless he works hard. The condition is he working hard. Okay, that's the condition that we're talking about. Unless he works hard all year long, he won't be able to buy his father an expensive gift. So that's the condition that we are talking of, right? Until 10 p.m. or until 2 o'clock, you must work hard until you succeed. Practice, practice, practice until you are thorough, etc. Okay, or if I want to show the usage of unless you practice this concept, you are unlikely to get the questions right. Okay, so that's a condition. If you don't do this, this will not happen. That's the point that I wanted to make. Okay. So I hope it's clear. If it is, then we can move on and see one or two more examples which cover the different components of errors. Okay. if not, that's how they use, right? Unless, very good, okay? Unless, if not this. So again, it is related to a condition. So the point that I'm trying to bring in here, if there's a reference to a point of time, until will be correct. However, if there's a condition, if not this, then unless will be correct, okay? Unless you teach these grammar rules, we are unable to score marks. Okay, absolutely right. You got it right. Okay, let's move on now. All right, cool. Let's move on. So the next example that I have, okay, I'm going to share the screen also with you. What I wanted to discuss was one more type. Okay, as I mentioned, there are about 21 types. Okay. Okay, at this point, I'd also like to tell you that all those who are our students, of course, are taking the benefit of the course, but you know that we have the refresher sessions which are going on, you know, for the SBI PO, correct? So for some of you who are new and have just logged in or have just enrolled for this free live session, I just want to bring it to your notice that today is the last day when the offer ends. Okay, we are running an offer where we are offering a flat 30% on all the courses that you want to opt for. So in case you've made up your mind to go ahead for your dream job, please do not forget to log into www.talentsprint.com/bank, okay, and take up the course that suits you the best. But the advantage of choosing it today, okay, is that you will save yourself 30% of the amount. Okay, so go and grab the best along with saving some money. So nothing like it. Okay, all right, I think we've got some questions. Somebody wants me to explain subject verb agreement. All right, each and every, I will take that up, but let me just cover what I have right now so that, you know, we can finish off, because this is a public live session and we can only be there for about an hour. So let's try to touch upon one or two more components, and then I can take up one more example, okay, related to subject verb agreement, where I can talk of each or every. Okay, buy for my father. Okay, I would have to see which context are you talking with. Okay, so that's the question that we were discussing. Let's move on. Okay, the type 3, okay, out of that list of 20 errors or 21 errors that we mentioned, the type 3 is the preposition error. Now, preposition, again, can anybody tell me what are prepositions? Okay, let's discuss this question. Guru Ram Das was the 4th Guru of the Sikhs between 1674 to 1681. Okay, which is the part which has an error? I think some of you are already posting. Part C, which has an error. Okay, let me mark your response. If it is part C which has an error, why does it have an error? Why do you think is there an error in the part C? Okay, let me check. Okay, I think you're on the last question. Let me just check before I come back to this. Okay, now until he works hard, okay, the point that you're trying to bring in here is until he works hard all year long, he won't be able to buy his father an expensive gift. This is just another way of saying buy an expensive gift for his father or buy his father an expensive gift. Both of them are correct. Okay, both of them are correct. By whom? By his father. What? An expensive gift. So that is also correct. Okay, there is no error in this. You can say it in two ways. To buy what? An expensive gift. For whom? For his father, or by his father. Now here his father becomes the subject. Okay, what? An expensive gift. Okay, so it is correct. Let's move on to the next one which we were discussing. Now I think one of you rightly pointed out that it is a prepositional error because it's saying between. Okay, between 1674 to 1681. Now here what is being shown? That okay, Guru Ram Das was the 4th Guru of the Sikhs when? Between a period which is from 1674 to 1681. Between this period, Guru Ramdas was the 4th Guru of the Sikhs. So this is talking of a period, okay, which is a range, okay, starting from this to this. So that is the reason when you say it is a range, when you're talking of a range, okay, we always say from and to, okay, so which means we have to correct it. To we already have, between has to be replaced, okay, with from, right? Shubhendu, we do not have to necessarily replace to, okay, because when you say from this time to this time, that itself shows a range, okay. So from to, the fact that we are using from this particular period date till this particular year itself represents a range, so we have to use to, okay. Or alternately you can say this and this, between 1674 and 1681. Now again, between means in between. So we although we say it, but I would say it is more appropriate to say from. If you cannot say between and to, you can say between this and this, okay, maybe he was the Guru between this and this, but you cannot say between. Again it talks of between 1674 and 1681 means sometime in between that. It doesn't cover the whole range, okay. So it is more appropriate to say from and to, okay. I think it's clear. Let's move on. So there are many other types in which prepositions can be asked. What are prepositions? Prepositions connect the nouns, pronouns, noun phrases to the rest of the part of the sentence. They give a complete meaning to the sentence, okay. If I say the cat is table, okay, if I say the cat is table, would it be correct? No, okay, it will not be correct, all right. If I say the cat is on the table, on tells you about the position, okay. What are we talking about? Cat and table, and what are we connecting it with? Because we are saying on the table. Okay, Shubhendu, as I mentioned, between and is, you know, I would say logically correct, but grammatically if you say, when we are talking of a range, okay, between, I can say my house, let's say I say my house is between this station and this station, okay, somewhere between that means center way, okay. But because we are talking of a range where we are also including A and B, which are the dates here, it is more appropriate, in fact more correct, to say from and to, okay. Is it clear now? Why shouldn't we say between and? Okay, if I say my house is between, let's say, you know, or maybe my flat is between flat number, you know, let's say 20 and 22. So what is the flat number? It is actually 21. So basically you're talking of something which lies midway, which is not the case here. All right. Can we move on? Yeah. All right. I think this is the last error type that I would cover as a part of this free live session. This is, again, if you look at question tags, it is actually the 20th error type, okay, the 20th type. So what is a question tag? What is a question tag? A question tag is actually a statement where you assume that what you've said is correct. And what does it do? Usually in a question tag is actually when you have a positive statement, negative question tag, and a negative statement, positive question tag. What do I mean by that? I would say, okay, the weather is beautiful. The weather is beautiful, or is pleasant. You are stating something, okay? If I say the weather is pleasant. Now, based on the concept that I explained for question tag, now this is what I'm talking about as question tag, Okay, based on the concept of question tag, what does it say? It says a positive statement, negative question tag. But what is the need of using a question tag? We can just say, right, the weather is pleasant. However, we say or we use a question tag practically in a case when you just want to make a statement and just confirm it, assuming that this is true, and you really do not want anybody to probably differ on this. Okay, so to include somebody in a conversation, to get started on a conversation, that's when practically question tags are used. Okay, otherwise you do not have to. All right, so the weather is pleasant itself is a statement you're making, isn't it? So if I say, isn't it? If I say, isn't it? Now, how am I deciding whether it should be isn't it or does it not, etc.? It should mirror the type that is here. For what are we talking about here? Is the verb. It should mirror the verb here. So if the verb here is, whatever the verb is, okay, we have to use the negative form of that verb in the tag. So if I say the weather is pleasant, I would say, isn't it? Okay. The girl is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Now what should I use here? When I say the girl is gorgeous, what should I use here as a tag? Now here you see it is again a positive statement. Is will change to isn't. Okay, isn't. Do we say it? No. Because who are we talking about here? We're talking about the girl here, right? Isn't she? So the corresponding pronoun also has to change based on the subject that you're talking about. Okay, isn't she? Perfect. Okay, the dress is not so attractive, or the color isn't attractive. Isn't attractive. Now what should I use here as a tag? Now here you notice it is a negative statement when you're using not. Okay, the color isn't attractive. What do we say? Is it? Okay, again is. Okay, the color isn't attractive. Okay, the color isn't attractive. Is it? Okay, again in this what we did, it was a positive statement, negative question tag. Even in this it was a positive statement, negative question tag. However, in the third one it was a negative statement, positive question tag. But it, because we are talking about the color, okay, where there is no gender specified for the color. However, if we could specify a gender for the subject here, we have to replace it with the corresponding pronoun. Right? Perfect. Okay, looks like most of you have understood this. Okay. So, so essentially I think broadly we covered about 5 or 6 types of errors. All right. So there could be many other types of errors. Can we quickly enlist the types of errors that we covered as a part of today's session out of the 21? Okay. We talked about a part of speech error. We also talked about a subject-verb agreement related error. We also talked about relative pronouns. Okay. We also talked about relative pronouns. We discussed one of the preposition-based errors. And I think the last one, the 5th one that I took today, was an error pertaining to question tag. Okay. So let's look at the question. I think we didn't take the question up. So let's discuss the question and then maybe, yeah. Okay, Vikram, I'm glad you brought this question since we are discussing question tags. Very good. Okay, because we personify river, earth, sun, okay, which is representative of, which represents power. Okay, so sometimes because of the personification, where even an object or something that you know, any object that you can actually personify. Okay, personification is usually used poetically or you know, when you write stories, etc. So in that case, depending on how you use it, even an animal for that matter, okay, if you treat the animal very well, depending what's your relation with the animal, okay, you can use he or she. But I'm talking about generally, okay, without looking at the personification aspect. Shubhendu, the idea of today's session, since this is a public live session, the idea of today's session was not to take up highly difficult questions, but to take up questions and touch upon the concepts and the rules which make finding errors easy. Because once you identify the errors, identify the category that the error belongs to, and your knowledge in that particular topic or in that particular component of grammar will decide whether you're able to spot the errors perfectly. Okay, so that's the point that I wanted to discuss. Okay, Ashwini, I do not think if there's any possibility to extend this offer to some more days, because our offers keep coming. You can keep looking at it, but I would suggest, if you are interested, if you like, you can go and grab it today itself. All right, okay. I do not promise that this offer can be extended. In fact, it cannot be extended. It closes today. But yes, if you still think you need time to think, obviously you can look forward to more exciting offers which keep coming in once in a while. But as they say, when it's right, it's right. You must grab it without losing time. All right, cool. Now, you do not have to be sorry, Shubhendu. I was just trying to align your point to what was the objective of today's session. All right, so okay, this is the question that we were discussing. The weather is bad, isn't it? So now it's simple after what we've discussed. All right, let me just share the screen with you people. Okay, I think after having discussed the examples on the board, I do not think there should be any scope for you to get confused in these questions. Okay, the weather is bad, isn't it? How do we correct it? Or what is this type? The weather is bad, okay, isn't it? It's correct. So there is no error in this particular question, okay, because this is a positive statement, negative question tag. Now look at the second one. You couldn't help me, could you? You couldn't. You could not help me, could you? Again, it mirrors here you, and couldn't changes to could. All right, yeah. All right, so I think one question that I can take up, one of you mentioned the usage of every and each, right? Let's say if I say each of the students, okay, do we say each of the student or do we say each of the students? I think that's the point that you wanted me to discuss, right? Let me take an example. Okay, I have, let's say, around 100 of you logged in or 50 of you logged in. Okay, I say every student is a part of the online program, or I can also say each student is a part of the online program. So when you say every, the verb does not change in these two usages, but the meaning changes. When I say every, I am not giving individual attention to each one. I'm just talking generally, okay, everybody. Let's say there are 50, I'm giving it as a complete reference. I'm talking about the usage, okay. However, if I say each, so that itself means I'm looking at each one of you. That's about it, okay. Each of the students is intelligent here. Perfect. Okay, each of the students. Now, why are you saying each of the students? Each of the students means out of all the students, each one of them. So this particular quantifier, when you say each, few, etc., then it follows a plural noun. Now here each of the student is not correct. Each of the students, okay, or you can say each student. Either you say each of the students or you say each student got a chocolate from the teacher. All right. Of course, getting chocolates is practically not possible, you know, in online, but that's all right. I think the best chocolate would, you know, for you would be to get through your dream job. I think nothing can beat that satisfaction, isn't it? All right. Each of the students has got, absolutely right. Now, each, you are giving individual reference to each student, but then of the students means you are telling of the entire group. Okay, you are giving individual reference. I think we've discussed this, Vikram, when we use both. Okay, I think that's an usage. When you say unless and until you do this, okay, like a collocation, okay, unless and until you do a particular task, you will not get through. Or if I say unless and until, to show that urgency, we use unless and until together, basically the condition, and also when you're trying to make it specific. Let me give you an example. Unless and until you pay for this particular course, you will not have access to this. So basically to show the urgency to a particular point of time. That's when we use it. It's a collocative usage which coexists. But more often than not, unless, you must remember, unless represents condition and until represents when you're talking of a point of time. Okay, and also to emphasize, more emphatically is how it's used. All right, so that brings us to the end of this session. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And like I said, let me quickly mention, all of you who want to grab the offer today, you can pass on the word to your friends. All right, you can pass it on. The site, I think most of you know it, but for the benefit of some who do not, it is www.talentsprint.com, okay, /bank. Or alternately, what you can do is, you can dial 1-800-2000-916, okay. But as I said, the offers which are there, the 30% flat off offer is valid only till midnight. So please go ahead and grab the offer. All right. So I think with that, we can bring this session to an end. Okay. I wish you all the best, guys. Keep practicing, keep learning. See you soon, people.
Welcome to Talent Sprint. My name is Sarmishtha and I'm here to give you your daily dose of job skills. In today's video, we are going to focus on few sentences for group discussions. Now, what is a group discussion? It is one of the elimination round in the interview process where 8 to 12 participants speak about a given topic. Now, when you speak about a given topic, you have to discuss your opinions using certain sentences. You have to make sure that you are always professional while discussing about the topic.
Welcome to Talent Sprint. I'm Sylvia and I'm here to share your daily dose on job skills. In this video, we will look at 5 things that you need to avoid on your resume. Now, there are certain things that are a put off and a definite no-no. So by the end of this video, you will learn how to avoid certain things on your resume so it looks and reads good. One of the first things you need to avoid on your resume are personal pronouns.